don't think anybody would consider Chip Zdarsky a small
I'm
creator.
not calling him a small creator. Happy New Comic Book Day, geeks, and welcome to issue 24 of the Script Heroes podcast.
The show where we bring you comic news, book reviews, and industry blues. My name is Joseph Jasonowski, and I am the writer of Janitor Hero, Cunning Carly, and the Cryptoverse.
And I'm Katie Markham, scripter of the Rusty Robot Country Club and ghostwriter extraordinaire.
The polls we're tackling on today's episode are going to be Green Arrow 11, The Six Fingers number 3, Ultimate Spider-Man number 4, and Drawing Blood number 1.
And we have no back issue review this week. We're trying something new starting next week. Catch us not this Saturday, but the next one for a live stream book review. We'll be sure to let you know what that book is going to be so you can join the conversation. And an additional heads up, part of this episode's audio and video will be fucky. There are some technical difficulties on my end. If it's giving you a headache to listen to, skip to the second review in the pull list direct. That's going to be Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. Time codes will be in the description and all around you.
Yep. And if you enjoy this episode despite the fuckery, you can follow the pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at the handle Script Heroes Pod, or you can find my personal socials at JJAZ1111.
And I'm on all socials at Katie Markham Pro.
And now, on to the news. Okay, to start off the news for the week, we've got a little bit of news regarding the recently released Daredevil number 8, which came out, I want to say, 2 weeks ago. And I have back at my home. But Marvel has essentially, and I don't know if this was something people were talking about before Marvel has made this announcement, but I didn't see it. But Marvel has basically said that a lot of the versions of this book were missing, I believe it was 16 pages.
What?
Yeah. Why can't I find how many pages it is here now? But yeah, they were missing an amount of pages that, unfortunately, this particular news article does not seem to be.
That's more than half of the book.
No.
Probably.
It's an oversized issue.
Or it is exactly half the book.
No, it was an oversized issue. Yeah, I think it was a...
All right. Still, that's like a third of the book.
Yeah. So, one of the main story wasn't affected, but one of the extra bonus stories was entirely missing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Marvel has now... They're going to be giving a free reprint if you, return the first version. I don't know how that works, if you go through your store, if it's straight to Marvel thing. I made the decision as soon as I saw this that I was just going to keep the fucked up version because...
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Come on, that's funny.
Yeah. We'll talk about a fucked up version of a book later in this episode, just to plug something that Katie has no context for, but it's very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was so funny, how an entire story was just missing.
Okay. But this is now twice in 2 months or 3 months that Marvel has had a massive book snafu.
Yeah.
With all the copies of Panther going
Ultimate
missing.
Black Panther, yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is happening at Marvel?
The sad thing is unless this one could be Marvel's fault. The first one was absolutely not Marvel's fault. It was, a diamond. This one could either be the printer or it could be Marvel. Marvel could have forgotten to include it in, the file that they sent off.
Right.
But I don't think all of the books are missing them, so I don't think that's the case. But if they all were missing it, if they all weren't, then
you say it's not Marvel that their Black Panther books went missing, and I can agree with you on a physical point of view. I'm just saying it seems to me like we are seeing the start of a curse upon Marvel's house.
And I would not deny that. That does seem to be a pretty feasible option. But let's roll over to the other of the big two for some kind of big final news regarding the start of Absolute Power, which starts on Friday, I want to say.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, Fridays. Free comic.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm very...
Did I make that up?
Saturday, right?
Is it Saturday?
Is it the first Saturday? I think it's generally the first Saturday in May.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Friday, but that's well, it's whatever it is.
Maybe DC's being stupid and they're like, we're moving our solicitations back Wednesday. Comic book day book is gonna be the day
Oh,
before.
it might be Saturday. That probably makes sense, right? Anyway, in any
Mhm.
case, basically they have announced all of the titles that will be involved with Absolute Power. So it
Okay.
starts, of course, with the Free Comic Book Day Absolute Power book. We then go into Absolute Power Ground Zero, which is going to be
Mhm.
June 25th. Um, which is
So like a
yeah.
full. All right.
June, a month. No, May. June, yeah, no, 2 months. What the?
Yeah, full 2 months after.
Yeah. And then over in July, we'll be getting Absolute Power #1. And then I think this is the first book that is being announced for the first time. Absolute Power Task Force 7.
Oh.
Which explores the events of Absolute Power from the supervillain's perspective as the Trinity of Evil, officially naming that the Trinity of Evil, I think, had been pretty well known that was was going to be happening.
Yeah.
I think this is the official, it is going to be the Trinity of Evil.
Dubbing.
Yeah. They're co-opting the combined powers of Amazo and the technology of Failsafe in their quest to eliminate all metahumans. So basically then from Task Force 7, we'll get issue 2 and issue 3, and then we'll go into Absolute Power Origins, which is another 3-issue mini. All while the main Absolute Power is going on, and then the books, the like normal books that are tying in, will be Batman 150, Wonder Woman 11, and Superman 16. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
How do you feel?
it's coming. I was very shocked when he said that it was starting with Free Comic Book Day because I thought it was a summer event. But yeah, it's got that Free Comic Book Day issue 0. Or
It's
whatever.
summer.
We'll
Free
get
Comic
to
Book
it later.
Day starts like 2 days into my summer. So,
Okay. Your Eternal Summer. My boys clapped in the comments. Jay's graduating college.
oh god.
But no, that is it's I feel burned by Night Terrors and by Beast World, but
Yeah. And by Amanda
it's an
Waller.
event. Yes, but it's an event helmed by Mark Waid. Truly, how bad could it be?
And Dan Mora.
And Dan Mora, you are correct. Which means phenomenal writing and phenomenal art. So how bad could it be?
Do you want some more details on these new series, Ground Zero
Oh,
and
we
Task Force
have
7?
details.
We have
Really
details.
give them to me.
So Task Force 7 #1 is going to be written by Leah Williams with art by Caitlin Yarsky, and is introducing the Last Son, Waller's living weapon, who kind of looks like a modern cyborg Superman, just from the pictures. Waller's living weapon has eliminated the threat of Superman and his allies in Metropolis, and now it's setting its sights on the DC's other metahuman clan, Shazam, Mary Marvel, and the rest of the Shazamily. I have always hated the term Shazamily, by the way. I don't know if you feel the same.
I think it's cute. I think it's horrible to say, though.
Yeah. Then in basically the second issue, there's going to be another robot. I think it's all robots because, Amazo. Called Depth Charge, who looks like an Aquaman version of Cyborg Aquaman. So yeah, that's going to be written by John Layman and illustrated by Max Raynor. And then -- 3, which is most exciting for me, is going to be going after Green Lantern. Is going to be using Green Lantern Alan Scott's willpower to go after Jade Stone. I don't know who Jade Stone is, but I don't know if that's a Jade thing. I'm not really reading an Alan Scott book, so I'm wondering if that's like an evolution of Jade thing. Well, we'll see. And this is going to be written by Jeremy Adams, who's writing, the main Green Lantern book, and artist Marco Santucci. And then Absolute Power Origins it looks like going to be I think an origin story for Amanda Waller. So, as you wanted, Katie, as you've been clamoring for.
As I've been begging for. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. With Mark Waid helming this event,
yeah,
I am going to it with a pro Amanda Waller vibe. Like, obviously, I'm not on her side. But, like, I am excited for this to be, to reference our Rebirth tier list, the return of Amanda Waller. Like, she's been kind of disappointing in everything that I've been reading her in lately. But hopefully now that she's getting to do, like, her big guns move, she'll be, like, a really formidable and badass villain. And I'm decidedly optimistic.
Is it bad that I don't want Amanda Waller to be that, though? Like, that's not...
Here's the thing. I don't want...
That's not the character that I think is interesting for Amanda Waller.
No. What I'm saying that she's going toe-to-toe with
No, but I'm saying her being a villain isn't interesting. Like, her being this, like, gray, ends justify the means, like, doing whatever... Like, it's just more interesting to me. Like, classic Amanda Waller is more interesting to me than villain Amanda Waller.
Maybe I'm just a goober, but I think she's pretty solidly a villain. Anyone who's putting brain bombs in people...
Yeah, but there's like a difference between like the same way that like classic Punisher was a villain. It's like you're a villain, but not like a conquer the world or like work with Brainiac villain.
That is fair.
Like there's
fair.
like
I can see it. What you're going for in terms of like a bastardization of her goals. Like her goals are coolest when it's we have to defeat this threat in a realistic but in way. Where I mean,
like, she's on the right side, but she's doing it the wrong way.
Exactly.
Like that's the.
And I mean, I think just from the ambient information we've gotten over the months, from reading her stuff, and also the song anti-metahuman, right?
Yeah, like it seems like the vibe is
and like trying to
getting rid of all metahumans.
Yeah, which does seem very like personally motivated,
Yeah, I feel like and again, like it's always when you're telling people how to write or like how to do, but just like my view of Amanda Waller would be like, I want to control or I want to have my own metahumans ready, or I want to have a weapon that could kill metahumans if they turn that, rather than just like I want to put all the metahumans gone.
No, I think you hit on something. She wants to control, doesn't want to like kill them.
Yeah.
She wants the power to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna remain optimistic. Whether my DC again is yet to be seen.
Yeah, I mean the solicitation does say in their quest to eliminate all metahumans, so unless it's a really bad blurb, I don't think.
Hey, DC is bad.
That's true. And then they put out the April,
not
special,
as bad as
which is a fantastic blurb.
God blurb, tier list of blurbs.
But yeah, I am optimistic with the creative team that has been put together and that is going into this. It's just Amanda Waller in general has been positioned in a way that I'm not a fan of.
No,
so that makes it hard.
And if it was any other creative team,
I'm sure if it was Tom Taylor, you'd be like, it's not gonna. If it was Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, you'd be like, this is gonna suck.
Here's the thing. I was by Night Terrors and Beast World. Like, I love Tom Taylor.
That's true.
The rest of DC has perhaps not been my favorite.
Did he do Night Terrors books?
Oh no, you're right. That was Joshua Williamson.
Yeah. Another fantastic
book. Exactly. Yeah. And Night Terrors wasn't so bad.
No,
it was the editorial.
At a technical level, most Night Terrors issues I think were pretty good.
Yeah. So it's more so that I've been burned by Beast World to not trust Taylor even Chandler.
Okay,
It's
I'm
Mark
gonna throw.
Wade.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out one more, like, just little. This is usually the conversation we'd have off pod, but I think we might as well have it here. Are we gonna cover the Free Comic Book Day issue of Absolute Power next week?
We can. I love Free Comic Book Day as a concept. I hate going to it. There are so many children all just like
Does DC
scrambling
not upload the
around.
Free Comic Book Day issues on DCUI?
Oh shit, they certainly do.
Yeah.
Or at least they've done with a lot of their special stuff.
I think
They probably
you should be able to read it. I don't think it should be hard for that to happen.
No, I'll suck it up. I'll go to Free Comic Book Day.
The line sucks, but my store here, and I'm very sad that this will be the last year I can experience it because, leaving college, I won't be near the store anymore. Does it up, man. Like, it is awesome. I have to see I don't know if they're going to still have, because they usually have, like, the pro wrestlers from the local school come and dress up as superheroes and fight, but they closed down the school here and moved it like an hour away, so I don't know if that's still happening this year. So we will see.
I can see with them, and I bet that they'll make the effort.
I hope so, because it is very, very fun. But in any case, we are just so off topic for a news segment. So
that's the Comic Book Day coming up.
Yeah. And if you're around Binghamton, come to Sound Go Round. It is the best free comic book day you will go to. There are no limits on. You can only get one copy of each, but you can get as many free comic book day books as you want. I know a lot of stores do like a limit of 3, 5, whatever book. You can grab them all. They have tons. Awesome events. So you're probably not around here because nobody lives here who doesn't go to Binghamton. But if you are, Sound Go Round. Fantastic free comic book day.
Well, speaking of comic books and comic book stores, we went to our comic book stores to get our polls for ready for the pull list rec.
I am. Let's go. Okay, and here we are in the pull list rec. We have a lot of very cool books for you guys this week, including Green Arrow, number 11, Ultimate Spider-Man, number 4, The Six Fingers, number 3. Get there, Katie, yeah. Oh. And Drawing Blood, number 1. But, of course, that is not all that we polled. Katie, what else did you get?
Well, Jay, I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 150.
Did you? Mine's back there.
I was telling my comic guy, and I was like, yeah, but I'm gonna be doing the new series. I was like,
I also got my
number 150 on there too.
That I was missing last week.
I didn't realize it was a $10 issue.
Yeah.
And so I got it. I was like, Can't never get impulsively adding this to the list, but that's fine. We also got D-Prog, number 2. We got number 2. Dawn Runner, number 2.
This was the week of all the number 1s that you wanted me to read.
And
the Infernals. Did you read issue 2?
And I like.
Yeah.
I'm
okay,
here
that's
for
what I was
the
gonna
Infernals.
Ask. No, I was interested to hear how you felt about issue 2 if you had gotten a chance to read it.
No, I liked it, but I had a lot of the same reasons that I liked issue 1, which was not enough for you to pick it up. So
No, it wasn't for me. In any case, I didn't have a ton else this week. Conan number 10, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 150, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 12. So yeah, only
Who's writing that? I feel like I was excited about who was writing that series. Do you know off the top of your head?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to Saturday Morning Adventures?
Yeah.
Eric Burnham.
Never mind. Might not have been who I was thinking of because I don't recognize it. And then of the ones that we talked about together, we've got 2 Image books and 2 big.
I want to end with Drawing Blood. I don't know how you feel about that, but I want to end with Drawing Blood.
I say we start Green Arrow, go to Spider-Man, then the Six Finger Blood.
I am down for that.
All right, well then let's do Green Arrow.
It's upside down, but I got it.
Green Arrow number 11. The Emerald Arch Shootout. Since Green Arrow #1, Merlin has manipulated Oliver Queen and the Earth, but after Green Arrow makes a deal with Waller, the final battle between the two archers is here, and whoever loses this shootout is stranded forever. The writer here is Joshua Williamson of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, Superman, and The Flash. The artists are Sean Izaki of Fantastic Uncanny Avengers and Aliens, with the penciler being Phil Hester, who is returning to the series after 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very rad. He did Green Hornet, Wonder Woman, and Swamp Thing. Our inker is Eric Gapp, who's returning to the series after #8, who worked on Edge of Spider-Verse and James Bond. Our colorist is Romulo. Our letterer is Troy Peteri.
I have to give you a round of applause because of how many people work on Green Arrow every single month, and just it's always a handful to do the polls for. So
it's always a handful, but but Jay, this is the penultimate issue of the second arc.
Yeah,
how'd you feel?
I'm going to call you out on the pod here, Katie, for just for a second as I give a disclaimer to our viewers, which is that I have now read all of these on Thursday, and it is now Monday because Katie canceled our original recording session because she didn't read the books. So I will not have as fresh of a mind of the books as we usually have when we do this.
I mean, that's fair.
That being said, I did enjoy this issue. I thought that the action was quite good. I thought a lot of the characterization of Ollie and the supporting cast was fun. The Merlin recap was, I think pretty well done and quick enough that it wasn't overly annoying. I still like the book could still do with just progressing the plot in a little bit more of a efficient manner. But overall, I did enjoy this issue quite a bit. Katie, how'd you?
No, I like this. Yeah, I like this one too. I think that, like you said, a lot of my problems with the book has been that it hasn't gotten a lot of momentum, and I think that it was solved in this book. I'm not the way the book was structured was the first probably half of it was dealing with what happened last issue with Roy and Ollie inside of Sanctuary and fighting off these hard light holograms of the Justice League. And then we get a twist with Ollie and this kind of ominous voiceover backstory of Merlin. And I feel like it felt a little like two separate...
Yes.
But it felt like... It felt like we did in the middle of an issue and ended in the middle of an issue instead of starting at the start and ending it, which I think worked well in terms of making the book feel like it was moving better than previous issues. But it also leaves me a little blue-balled.
No.
So it does, as disappointed as I am that there wasn't a bigger... I feel like they had happened with the Justice League. I get why they didn't, especially when you're trying to justify, Arrowette taking on Amazon. It's the Justice League.
But it also
it's hard
their fate.
So I feel like that's what I'm saying, is I feel like they could have gotten away with a lot of cool combat things, but it's not the real Justice League. And I feel like maybe we didn't get as much of that as the cheesy where it's smashing your action figures together.
That's super fair.
But I'm hoping that because of that, there's a twist at the end about the fight between Ollie and Merlin that we won't get into, but I'm hoping that we get a lot of time dedicated to that in the last issue of this arc, while also having time for Ollie to have an emotional resolution with his family.
No, I think I fully agree with you. The one thing I might push slightly back on is I agree that it feels like we started in the middle of an issue. I don't know if it feels like we ended in the middle of an issue. I felt like it was a fairly solid endpoint / cliffhanger for it.
No, I think it was a point. It just felt a little weird for our little like it felt like there was also an endpoint in the middle of the
Yes.
issue when we learn about Ollie's kind of secret. Like, that felt like a cliffhanger moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we get into this little backstory thing, and it's like, okay, this feels like epilogue, not,
No,
half of the
that's super
issue.
fair. But
Yeah.
I think like I just the I don't want to say saving grace of the book because that would imply that the book's been bad as a whole, which it hasn't. But like the
No.
one thing that in a book that I think has been mostly good, the one thing that I think has been great to amazing that like keeps this book something that I'm like really excited for is I just think Joshua Williamson writes such a good Oliver Queen / Green Arrow.
Such a good
And like
Ollie,
that can
man.
excuse when the
Yeah.
main character of a series that especially a series that's a big two book that's built on a character
Mhm.
that has a long history and like you're really there for the character a lot of the time. Like when the person can write that character so well, you can get away with so much.
Exactly. Yeah. No, like I still super enjoyed this. But do you feel ready to
I
put a
do.
numbered
I do.
rating on it?
I'm gonna slap a 7.5 out of 10 on this. I like this. Very good issue. Like that's it that's my overall feeling. Very good issue.
No, I hear that. I was just that half step below you. I slapped a 7 on it. Because again, I wanted a little bit more action
Yes,
figure
yes.
fashion. But I'm hoping it's in service of giving enough time in the next issue. It is the penultimate issue. Would you call it a pull list rack?
Um hmm. I do want to point out penultimate of the arc because they
Right?
have extended it from 12 issues.
Yes, penultimate of the arc.
Interestingly,
Yeah.
they turned the John Stewart book into a 12 issue maxi, which is very annoying because it's not originally one. But anyway, DC doing DC things. I would not call this a pull list wreck because, like you said, it starts in the middle of an issue. So if you didn't have the first half of that issue in the last book, I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
little off. So I'm going to say no.
I will say I don't think it's totally I don't think it's totally inaccessible.
It's just
Is
at
what
the
I'll
start
say.
point. I
If
think it's going to give
you
you whiplash.
That is fair. That is fair. Like I think it's I don't know that I would like say start with this arc in general. Uh like I think that the first arc of this book was better than this one. So I'm gonna agree it's not a pull list wreck. But if you want to get into Green Arrow, I'd say that this is not a worse place to start than last month's.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but you're entitled to that. Because up until the last
That's
issue, they were kind of all just kind of one-shotty stuff, so like it still felt very much like
That's
you could hop
fair.
on.
That's fair. Maybe start with last month and then
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
in. But I don't think it's any worse than 2
No,
months ago.
no, that's I think that's absolutely fair. But in any case, as we ramble on because we have extra time with no back issue this week, do we want to move into Ultimate Spider-Man #4, a series that we've been very much enjoying so far through the first 3 issues?
Let's do it.
Ultimate Spider-Man #4. Who is the Green Goblin? Peter Parker's secret life starts fraying the edges of his personal life. J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Parker's pursuit of truth, or at least the news, stirs unrest with the world at large. And now that Spider-Man may not have to operate alone, the real work of rebuilding this corrupt world can begin. The writer is Jonathan Hickman, of course, of Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men. The new artist on the series is David Messina, who has worked on ROM, Star Wars, Han Solo and Chewbacca, and Star Trek. The colorist is Matt Wilson, and the letterer is Corey Petit. God.
So Spider-Man.
Kate, yeah, how'd you feel about
I really liked the first 3 issues. And then
Yeah.
I will gently remind the Marvel executives who are definitely listening right
the Marvel
now.
executives, yes.
Yes, that my main problem with issue 1 was that we didn't get enough Spider-Maning.
There is
quite literally 0 Spider-Maning in this issue. I get what they're going for with like a kind of because the entire issue basically. Yeah, I was flipping through while you were reading is these 9-panel grids at a dinner table where MJ, Peter, Gwen Stacy, and Harry Osborn are chatting. We have a couple of little cutaways when MJ and Stacy go to the bathroom, and when we kind of look at Ben and Jonah and the Parker children. But I feel like there wasn't like something like this really works when there are really uncomfortable dynamics that play on all of the characters and pull them in different directions. Like one of my sister and my favorite movies to watch together is called Carnage. It's literally like a dinner between two couples, and it is so tense and so funny and so well written. And I feel like that's the thing, is that it really relies on being able to capture mood. And as much as I've really liked Jonathan Hickman's writing, I feel like he didn't capture the mood of the table. And with that not being a solid and compelling presence in the book, it made the entire book just a little long, a little draggy for me.
I don't. Saying I disagree with you is the wrong words, because like I just don't fully agree or fully disagree with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the to me again. I'm like, I don't want it to sound like I'm saying
Right.
I don't think this is what you're saying. Like to
No,
me, I don't think my issue with the book is that he doesn't capture the moves. Actually, I found it to be, I thought, a very well written issue, and a very I
mm-hmm.
thought it was very good. I just thought it was absolutely not what I wanted at this point in the story, if that
That
makes
too.
sense.
Yeah.
Like I even like, because I was taking notes as I went, like I was like, oh man, there's a really good long civilian opening, and then I made like it halfway through the book, and I was like, oh, it's not an opening. This is just the book.
Mm-hmm.
The character work I thought was really, really good. Like I thought it was interesting. Like this version of Gwen Stacy is interesting. I will put out the like slight criticism, and maybe I'm not a big enough Spider-Man like fan to like hit this criticism really well. Of like, I get alternate universe, but when the alternate universe version of a character shares like not like, I feel like there needs to be enough of the shared characterization for you to go, oh man,
Right.
this is this universe's version of this. I felt like it was missing that. Like it just felt like, here's a character they slapped the name Gwen Stacy on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like my other big thing. But yeah, it just felt like this is what I wanted out of the book at this point. This is really what I wanted out of Ultimate Spider-Man in general. Like this seems like a fun little thing, but like you said, no Spider-Maning, but also just no, the plot didn't move forward like
Yeah.
at all.
And I feel like what I was specifically looking for was there's a I don't know that any part of this is really spoilery. There's a bit of tension between Peter and Harry, where Harry reveals that Gwen knows that he's Green Goblin. She knows what he's doing. And I feel like if that happened at the front of the issue and Harry was kind of needling a little bit, and
Yeah.
there was this sense of like Peter keeping the secret from MJ, I think that would have been what added the tension to the dinner that I was really looking for. Because it felt like there weren't any there were very little social stakes happening at this dinner. It
Yeah.
felt more like, I don't know, that the dinner party episode from The Office than like a,
To where
kind
it's
of.
just uncomfortable, because like,
Exactly.
yeah,
And you get the break-offs of the couples talking about each other,
yep,
and it's like, I don't know why I should care about this happening.
yeah.
And like
No,
like you said, I
that's
think it was
right.
well written. I think that the characterization is good, but I feel
Yeah,
like there were no stakes at the table,
yeah.
which made it drag
No,
for me, which
the
is what
way
I was
you've
trying
broken
to
it
get at.
down this time, I think, is exactly how I feel. Where it's
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was trying to get at with my first
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. No, I think just like, because I think you're right in the sense of like, it's not that the tension isn't there. It's more the reader doesn't know why the tension's there. Like it
Yeah.
feels a little bit straight. Like I even that was my thing. I was like, why is this as weird as it is? Like it doesn't feel like they should be on like as
Yeah.
opposing, awkward, annoyed, vibes as they're on. It's like it didn't seem like Peter and Harry were like pissed at each other at the end of the last issue. Mary and Gwen have like no, prior history. So it just felt so weird that like,
Yeah.
especially with Gwen, like because it was just all Gwen like needling and like trying to get her wet, and it was just like, where is that coming from?
Yeah. It
Again, though,
was.
it does set up this version of Gwen's character. Like I know who this
Mhm.
version of Gwen is very well, so I want to
Yeah.
give that props.
Yeah. I just felt like it was a bit of a missed opportunity with this issue. And
I
I
agree.
will also say the artist did change as well. And it could be because again, he wasn't given any Spider-Man to do. It was just a lot of like kind of facial expressions and conversation. I think he did a lot of cool things trying to offer various perspectives at the table. Like
Yeah.
he did fun with reflections and glasses and stuff. But I preferred the previous art definitely. And so that did not help with this issue for me either.
Yeah, I have to see it with the Spider-Manning, I think, because
Yeah.
I always thought it looked very different in the action sequences versus the personal sequences, so I don't know if this is enough for me to be like, this artist change is going to really bother me.
No,
But
that's fair. And I'm saying for this issue specifically. But are
no,
you
no,
ready to
that
throw a
yeah,
numbered
you
rating on
go first. It's
Ultimate
your turn to go
Spider-Man?
first. So
Oh shit,
slap
you're
a number.
right. Again,
It's a
I
tough one.
like what this is conceptually. I feel like if we had a dinner, like a full issue long dinner between
Yeah,
Harry, Peter, MJ, and Gwen Stacy, where 3 people at the table know that one of them is Spider-Man, and the one
yeah,
who doesn't know is the one who like should know. I feel
yeah,
like that's really interesting, especially if kind of Harry and Gwen were like stepping over boundaries a little bit. We got it a bit with Gwen talking about like how important heroes are, but nothing
yeah,
like that really felt like they were trying to trap Peter.
yeah.
Um, I think it would have been much more successful. As it stands, I think I'm just gonna give it a flat 5. Like
Mm,
I know that seems low, and it's not an indictment on the series at all. I think that this just was not a it wasn't a great issue for art,
yeah.
and it wasn't a great issue for Spider-Man.
I'm gonna not be too distant from you, but I'm gonna give different reasoning here because like I I like this conceptually for like a one shot or for a
Mhm.
long writing Spider-Man book that can
That's
afford to
fair.
take a month off to do something that's just fun conceptually. I don't like this conceptually for a brand new universe that's on its issue 4. Like
That is
it
valid.
just feels very weirdly placed. It feels like a waste of precious time and pages and all that. Like, move the story forward. We just got this world. We just got these characters. Like, why are you doing like to use TV? Why are you doing a bottle episode? Like
Right?
this. If the 4th episode of a brand new TV show was a bottle episode, I think people would be like, why? Like, why is this coming at this point? Not even if it's a
Yeah.
good episode. Like, good issue. I think it was missing, like you said, some of that tension up front where we kind of knew what was going on, but I thought it was well written. I thought the art was solid. So like I don't think on any sort of technical level it's bad. I just don't think it was perfectly executed, and I think it came at the wrong time. So I'm gonna slap a 6 on this, 6 out of 10,
That is fair. That is
and
fair.
I'm gonna not call this a pull strike. This is the wrong issue,
Oh
I
no,
think.
no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Ultimate Spider-Man has been very good. Just start from number 1.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure that your LCS has gotten a bunch more copies of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But are we ready to talk about
the Six
the
Fingers
Six
number
Fingers?
Trey.
The Six Fingers, number 3. After an ill-advised attempt to consult with the convicted serial killer Odell Watts, Johann Sveil gets an unexpected offer of help in his twisted odyssey from none other than the avant-garde artist Ada Avanax. The writer here is Dan Waters of Lucifer Detective Comics and Homesick Pilots. The artist is Sumit Kumar of Justice League Manbat and These Savage Shores. The colorist is Lee Luridge, and the letterer is Aditya Bidikar. Jay, how did you
Yes,
feel about the continued adventures of Johans?
yes. I have a singular note in
Oh.
my notes for this book, and it is the word wow. This
Okay.
book is wild.
It
And
is.
this is where things kind of coming together is the wrong word because we still don't quite know what's going on, but like the world breaking is really happening.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
all those hints have really been confirmed. Stuff is getting weird. I don't
Mhm.
really want to spoil. I think it's like it's like a little, it's like 2/3 of the way into the book, which feels a little late to spoil. Something crazy happens while he's kind of going into his serial killery state,
Yes.
where he's not in control, which is just wild. The art in this issue is
So.
just mind blowing.
Mhm.
So I don't want to. I'm gonna unbury the lead. that I think this is the best single issue I have read since we started the podcast.
I think I agree that it was really, really, really good. I do love how often you say that though.
I have said that.
You've said it, I think,
listen, and it can be true.
times.
It can get up. Yes, I think I've said it 3-ish times. But it was because it was Petrolhead. It was Transformers.
It was one of the episodes of Transformers.
Number 3. Yeah. It might just be those two.
I think you said that the short story in the April special was one of the greatest like single stories you had read.
Yes, I stand by that. That was amazing.
No, that's so fair. I am just laughing. I
think the track of these issues have all been better each time I've said it. So I feel pretty good. We've been doing the podcast for like 6 months. The fact that I've decided 3 issues in that time have been the new best issue that we've read isn't that crazy.
No, that's fair. It just makes me laugh that it keeps happening. No, it's such a good issue, especially when it so deeply has the benefit of being tied in with the One Hand, because you have tension building on both sides, and we have a really big tension release here where we learn something big and new. And oh my gosh.
It's so hard to talk about this issue specifically without spoilers, because all the stuff that's like I really want to talk are just major huge spoilers.
One thing that I don't think is a spoiler is that Ada witnesses the most recent murder. When we had the last issue of The One Hand, we saw Ari arrive and find that Odell Watts had been, Six Finger killed, One Hand killed. But he had been murdered. And we, as the audience, knew that it was Johann's, or at least I think assumed, because he is the current One Hand killer. And it was really fucking rad to watch that kill. Because we talked about it briefly with Invasive, where I'm not I'm not super squeamish about body horror, but I'm also in general not like a huge gore person. But this was, I think, really well done in a way that like felt very visceral on the page, and having that reaction from myself almost contrasted with Ada's fascination. It was really, really well done. And I was really thrilled about her reintroduction, because we had seen her in issue 1 of the Six Fingers and throughout the One Hand as well.
And we talked about her, I think, pretty thoroughly in that review.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have her become a more main and central character, because I do think that's something that this book needed.
Yeah, I think that's what took because this has already been, and if we haven't gotten numbers, but if you like average out like average number rating for a series, I'm sure this is going to be the highest one in terms of series that we read on the podcast for me, particularly.
Zorro might be mine.
Actually, Zorro might be 2, because I think Zorro's both issues of Zorro so far have been really high, but this and Zorro anyway have been like those things that are super high. But like, so this is me saying I was loving this series, but I still think the missing piece of the series the most was like having a really good supporting character to bounce things off of, and now we get it.
Yes,
and that's why I'm like, oh no, we've just gone, because I think issue 1 I was like phenomenal. Issue 2 I was like a little bit worse, but still really, really, really good. This issue I'm like, oh, this is the best issue of the Six Fingers yet. The best issue of the Six Fingers and the One Hand yet. Like the best
I would agree
issue
with
of
that.
the series yet. Like so good.
So good, and so much cool world revealing. But before we give away too many spoilers, do we want to give our numbered ratings?
Yes, I will slap a number rating onto this. This is going to be, in terms of single issues, the highest rating I've given, as you know, it's the single issue I read yet. So I gave this a 9.75.
Oh, you motherfucker. All right.
I don't know how you didn't see that coming when I said the highest.
I forgot if you had given something a 9.5.
Yeah,
well, I am up there too. This series and its companion series work so well together. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. I like this so much. Big reveals, big world, but definitely not a pull list rec from me. Start from the beginning.
No,
for sure.
You're gonna be lost.
Yeah,
but I am so ridiculously excited, and like this isn't a thing of like I need to, because I'm not like, I think this book's really great to follow it, but like I am so ridiculously excited for when that 12 issue collected edition comes out and I can just
Right?
read this book through. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give it to me.
It's
Obviously,
gonna be a good
what
one.
are we? We're 6 issues out of 12 now, so we're
Mhm.
exactly halfway.
Yes,
So a while more, but I'm very excited. But
me too.
speaking of excited, I'm also very excited to talk about Drawing Blood. This issue
For
isn't Drawing Blood, but
those
this.
at home who are listening rather than watching, Jay, was that 4 different copies of Drawing Blood?
And the Ragdolls one shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, they're not
Jay's a
different
little
copies
bit
of
excited.
Drawing Blood. They're issues 1 through 4.
Oh,
Of
okay.
Drawing
I thought
Blood.
it was just variant covers of number 1.
No. It's issues 1 through
Right,
4.
right. Well, we'll jump into it. It was a Kickstarter. Jay will tell us all
We'll
about
jump
it.
into it.
But in order to do
Yeah.
that, we must go and talk about it. So let's head over to Drawing Blood.
Drawing Blood #1. The legendary Kevin Eastman, co-creator of iconic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and former publisher of Heavy Metal magazine, returns to comics with a look into the roller coaster life of a successful comics creator. When you create a global franchise before you turn 20, what happens next? Readers will follow the jaw-dropping journey of Shane Bookman, a cartoonist whose real life has become more absurd and action-packed than any comic book story he could dream of. I do just want to quickly, before I get into all the credits, throw out, because we've been calling out blurb writing here, them acting like Kevin Eastman has been away from comics when he's been working in comics for like the last 10 years.
Blurb writing is an art, not one that everyone has mastered.
Yeah, but in any case, the writers of this book are Kevin Eastman, who's co-story writer, and David Avallone, who does the script and co-story. The artists on this book are Kevin Eastman, who does the flashback sequences with layouts by Ben Bishop. Then Ben Bishop does the main artwork and layouts for all of the book. Ben Bishop has worked on Last Ronin, Far Side of the Moon, and Troy Little does the hallucinations, with, again, Ben Bishop doing the layouts. And Troy Little worked on Rick and Morty, and he's working on the new Cult of the Lamb book that just went absolutely crazy on Kickstarter, if you are aware of that. And then we've got colorist Brittany Peer and letterer Taylor Esposito. To give a little bit more context on this book, because we have time with this episode, this was originally a Kickstarter. In 2019, they did 2 Kickstarters, one for Volume 1, which was the first 4 issues, and the Ragdolls one-shot, which is the fictional book that kind of takes the place of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the fictional world of Drawing Blood. And then the second volume, which was the next 4 issues, and a 87, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon version of the Ragdolls getting a one-shot in that volume. Again, that was 2019. Those 4 issues still don't exist, or they still haven't made it to people. But to credit the creative team, they have been pretty adamant that it will get into people's hands before those issues, starting with issue 5, come out in stores. So hopefully people will get them soon. But anyway, yeah. I've read all 4 issues and the Ragdolls one-shot, that being the we were talking about book errors earlier. My Ragdolls one-shot has a wrap upside down in it, which I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but it's hilarious because it means like pages that are supposed to be at the end are toward the front, right, and upside down. And backwards, in terms of like the inside, outside. So it is the first time I read this book, I was so freaking confused. I was like, oh man, I'm supposed to flip the book here? And
is
then
this like
it
genius
went
artisan craft, or is this?
Yeah, and then it wasn't until I made it through that section and then got to the next section and realized like, oh wait, no, this is, that bit earlier is clearly supposed to go at the end of this bit. And I was like, oh, the wrap's upside down. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Yes. I don't know if you remember what you told me about this book last week.
I
do you remember how you described it?
Fictionalized autobiography of Kevin Eastman's life that's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that by fictionalized you meant like completely fictionalized.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it opens with Books doing cocaine in the front seat of a car, and I'm like, Kevin Eastman, oh my god! Because it doesn't, like, call him that off the beat. So the first, like, 3 pages of this book, I thought that this was like actually supposed to be Kevin Eastman. I'm like,
Kevin
Kevin,
Eastman
no.
is in the book, by the way, as is Ben Bishop and David Avalon. They're all in
I
the book.
love that for them, but I was so shocked. It was only once the guns
No, I just
came
meant
out
like
where
the real selves pop up later. I don't know if you caught that. It's very funny. It's a very funny moment where they're going into the panel and the real versions of them come out.
Dude, I don't think that was in this issue. I could be wrong.
Oh, was that not in this issue? I'm sorry. That is later in the series.
He meets the guy in this one.
No, that's
name
definitely
I'm forgetting. Yeah.
That's definitely later in the series.
But yeah, so I spent the first few important moments of this book being like, holy shit, Kevin Eastman, you are like putting way too much just out into the world.
That's so funny. No, like, incredibly fictionalized.
Yes. Not even autobiographical, just like informed by his own experiences.
I do want to put out that the reason I call it a fictionalized autobiography is because that is how Kevin Eastman describes the book.
I believe that he does that way, and I would say, Mr. Eastman, be careful.
I'm just saying that is how he himself describes the book. I was at a panel that was supposed to be a spotlight on him at San Diego Comic-Con, and then it started and he just called up David Avalon and Ben Bishop and they just turned it into a panel on Drawing Blood, and that's when they announced the Image deal. But that is how he usually describes it. But I understand how that is a little bit wild.
Yes, but we gotta zoom, my dude. We've been talking about this book for like 7 minutes already.
Oh my god. Yeah, you go.
It's really well done. The characters specifically, I think, are the absolute highlight. It's in the first, 10 pages of the book, so I think it's pretty fair game. Someone gets shot, his name is Beastly, and then we move into flashback, and it's one of those things where he's not like super, super likable in the first few pages because we see him at like kind of, an intense moment, but then we see him supporting books in the previous years and stuff, and it's like, oh man, Beasley, we know what's coming for you, and you can kind of see where he would reach that point where he was willing to pull a gun on people, and so I think that was really a really well done relationship. Ben Bishop's art is just phenomenal. I love this man's art. It's so good, and I think that they do a really good job of with both the flashback sequence and the hallucination sequence. They choose such a distinct style for it that even though it doesn't read as a continuation of Ben Bishop's art at all, but it also is like very well done, so it keeps that quality without keeping that style. So I think it differentiates those sections super, super well and makes them really feel different.
Yeah. I agree. It's a very good book. The funny thing is, like, and as I flipped it, like, the thing is, this issue is very interesting because they lean very hard into the mob bit, into they're not Russian. What are they again? They're Lithuanian, and they get very mad if you call them Russian. So they lean a lot into the Lithuanians and that stuff, which is a very interesting factor in the book. I almost wish the opening sequence didn't exist. Like, I think it's more interesting to be introduced to it the same way that books is in this kind of like slow burn story. And I still love this issue. It is my least favorite of the first 4 issues. Because there's a little bit less of the comic book creator side of the stuff that feels autobiographical in nature from Kevin Eastman, and a little bit more of just this crazy mob fights and stuff, and you're like, oh my god, the opening throws you for a loop, because it's really not quite what the book is, at least yet. Maybe it gets there later on. But I still think it's very good.
Yeah, I think as someone coming into the story for the first time, the opening is really, really effective for kind of giving us the I brought it up with Spider-Man as well. I feel like it does such a good job of setting the stakes. Like, your stakes aren't going to get higher than your main character's best friend getting shot by mobsters, you know? Yeah. And so that gives that tension to every moment going forward. But
No,
do you want
that's
to
super.
throw a numbered rating on this guy?
Yeah. What I will say, the last thing I'll throw in here is what I was saying that with like why that those is like where I think this issue goes from good into like, oh no, this is just amazing, is when the ragdolls are introduced and you get the sequence of like him hallucinating the ragdolls. I'm like, that is when I'm like, oh my god, this book is awesome. So
yeah, I'm super excited to
little bit
see
of a
that
slow
kind of
burn
like
there.
psychological thriller side of it instead
Yeah.
of this like
and,
mob
and and
action.
that's my favorite bit of the book. So it's Kevin Eastman, it's Ben Bishop. I really like Troy Little's artwork as well. I like kind of everything going for this book, but this is not quite on the amazing or like best issue tier list for me. So I give this an 8.5 out of 10. Katie.
Yeah, I really liked it. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I would absolutely call it a pull list rack. Pick this up.
Yes, it is sold out. But maybe your store still has copies. It's sold out at the distributor level. Check your store. If not, I think they've already announced the second printing, so order that.
You can get it.
But
that
in any
way.
case, we have had some long polls today.
We sure have.
You can't
Good thing
give me
there's
a
no
Kevin
back
Eastman
issue
book.
review.
Yeah, you can't
Give
give
this
me a
man a Kevin Eastman book,
expect
and
not
he'll
to
talk
ramble.
about the production behind it for 7 minutes.
I will. Listen, I love this shit. This is the good stuff. I could have talked way more about the production, but in any case, we don't have a back issue review.
That's right.
So we're gonna be jumping over to
the Creator Corner, and here we are in the Creator Corner, where we sit back, relax, talk about being comic writers, talk about creating comics. It's been a while since it's been just the two of us. This is so exciting.
Just the two of us. I don't know.
We
the rest
can
of that
make it if we try. And as you'll may or may not know, this past weekend was the Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo, also known as C2E2.
I never knew what that stood for.
There you go, Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo. It's real cute. And I was there. I went as a wonderful weekend with my pals. And so I figured, yeah, my beautiful little badge. It has a star punched out of it because I painted a mini. I did it badly. But I figured that meant that this was the perfect week to just chat about conventions in general. Jay, you and I have both been going to conventions for a very long time. I would love to ask, what was the first convention that you went to?
The answer is New York Comic Con regardless. But the first time I went to New York Comic Con, I went 2 years when I was like 6 and 7 or like 5 and 6, when it was a fairly small convention still. But then like the first time I went when I was a legitimate comic book collector and like could know what the hell was really going on was 2016. It was my first year of high school, which I think was 2016. So that was my first convention. Katie, tell me.
Mine was, I think, just before my first year of high school, which, to show mine and Jay's age difference, I think would have been in 20. No, I must have already been in high school.
You're like 2 years older than me?
I'm 4 years older than you, baby boy. Yeah.
You are, because you graduated when I was graduating high school. Sorry. You're 4 years older than me. So that would have been 2012?
Yeah, but that feels too early. My sister was really into anime. Hi, Sarah. And she really wanted to go to Anime Central here in Chicago. And so we went to that. We ordered cosplays online. It was very cute. We had a wonderful time. But C2E2 was the one that was like on my radar. Because Sarah, very into anime. Me, very much.
I was going to say, not the handmade the anime. What was your first comic convention? Because,
No, fair enough. Here's the thing. There is plenty of comic stuff at anime conventions. Plenty of Robin's fan art, at least. But my first comic convention, it was either Wizard World Chicago or C2E2. I don't remember which one. I was thinking about it before we logged on, and I was hoping you just wouldn't throw the question back to me. But I think it might have been C2E2 2015.
2015?
I think, in terms of comics, the first anime convention was in like 2013. But C2E2 is actually in the city, which is much more inconvenient.
a junior
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, it might have been the year before that then, because I remember I was
I'm not sure. Yeah, I did that right. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember my mom drove me and my friends, uh, and it was very sweet of her to do. I had just sewn my first cosplay, which was a Bombshells Batwoman uniform, and I
Fantastic.
was not very good at sewing, and still am not very good at sewing. And the way that I had made it, it was far too tight over my chest and like didn't zip all the way. And my mom was like, "Katie, please don't wear that. You're like 16. Put your boobs away." But I insisted because I'd worked so hard on making it. And then she's just like, "Okay, but after the convention, I'm going to buy you all of the fabric you need to try it again so we can
Oh
make
my
it so
god.
it actually fits." There's like a single image from that convention of me in my Batwoman costume somewhere in the ether. But it was very fun.
And you can't send it to anybody because they might get arrested.
Yeah, no, for sure. With that costume, it was so poorly made. Uh, I basically just sewed a tube and put a zipper on it. But no, it was such a good time because it was one of those things where it's like, oh wait, these are my people. Like the booth's just full of long boxes and short boxes. It was so great. It was so wonderful, and all of the
Yeah.
guests being comic guests was so cool. So yeah, I really love C2E2, even though I have thoughts on it as a convention, but it will always hold a very special place in my heart. But I have some very exciting news that I unburied the lead for Jay. But I'm very proud of myself. In all of my years going to conventions, I've always been too crippled by social anxiety to get things signed. Because I'm like, I don't want to bother them.
Which is the best part of conventions.
Look, this is fair. But I put on my big boy pants and I got Art Balthazar to sign my little Disco Wing cover and the
Beautiful.
amazing Babstar. She is so funny. She is so cool. I bought so many stickers from her stand to sign one of my Batgirl covers. And I'm just so chuffed to bits that I actually asked people for signatures and told them how much I love their stuff. But you are a signing boy. I've got my
I am.
signed copy of Titans #1 here somewhere that you got
I
for
wasn't
me.
always, but yeah, it was my first year. I did decently. I got the big driving force between me, like that got me to that convention that year was Phil Lamar was signing, and
Mm,
I was so excited for that. I got there like 30 minutes early, so I was just sitting at the front of his thing, because they have it like divided in the lines with like the
right.
tables. So I was just sitting at the thing for 30 minutes on the floor until he showed up, and then yeah, I got to get him to sign a bunch of Green Lantern figures, and he signed them like each with a line of the Green Lantern oath, so it like continued across them,
Oh, that's so
and it was
cute.
awesome. And that was awesome. And then the other signing, which I think is maybe the experience that scarred me into not doing signings for a few years, was meeting Neil Adams, and it was just both like the way it was being run and everything. Like you were kind of like pushed through it in such a way, and it felt weird. Um, so I got a signing from him, but I cannot remember a single word of it. Like I remember the Phil Lamar one in such detail, how
Right.
amazing it was, and all that. And I remember most of the signings I've done in the years to follow. But that Neil Adams signing, I don't remember a thing of except that I have the signed book, because it was just really run. So then I took a few years off before really getting into signings again, and just mainly Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle creators. But yeah, I
No,
love
I've
getting engaged with creators. Is like the best part of a convention, I think.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I've
and the
never
small
actually
press actually.
done one of the uh the line autographs thing. The ones that I've
Yeah,
always been clamoring for have been just like people at their booths at Artist Alley. Uh
yeah. A lot of people don't do that
and
anymore, sadly.
I that to me is like really nice because then it's like I can make my approach, I can figure my shit out, and then I can like buy something from their stand and be like, by the way, would you mind signing my book? And so I don't feel like I have wasted their time. But the other
Yeah,
thing that I was really excited about going to C2E2 this year is how many like small creators were there
yeah.
selling their books. In
Do
previous
they have like
years,
I've never been to C2E2 because we live on opposite sides of the country. So like, do they have a dedicated small press section of the convention?
So yes and no. I would say that the biggest small publisher there was Mad Cave, and I had a wonderful chat with Chaz from Mad Cave. Great lad. And I went to a couple Mad Cave panels. It's just so cool to see all the stuff that's in the pipeline for him. But I'm more talking about like the people slinging books at conventions, because we've talked to so many
That's what I'm
conventions
saying. Like
for
small press, like the tiny,
right. So
Yeah.
they have booths for like big small presses, but certainly not for small presses.
Mhm.
It's pretty much all within Artist Alley, which is a bit of a bummer because you just get so crowded in there, and I just want people to tell me about their books, and so many
Yeah.
people did, and I just wanted to shout out a number of people who I got books from. We've got Landis Blair, who does some wonderful art inspired by a man whose name I can't remember, and I feel so bad that I can't remember it because my friend Clark had a very long conversation with them about it. Daniel Covey, maybe the guy who does the like strange. It's maybe the Addams Family. In any case, very cool. We've got The Tin Man by Justin Madsen, which again, super stylized book. Very excited to read. Blasphemy Pants by Dan Doherty. We've got Gravity Matters and The Arcane by Jeff Ryder. And then we've got something that immediately made me think of you, is Mixed Magical Martial Arts by Pat Shand and Bob France. And our last like small press one is Mindset by Zach Kaplan and John Pearson. And then of course I stopped by the Mad Cave booth and got Stargazer and number 1 of Dick Tracy, because I hadn't picked that up in my LCS. They were sold out. And then shout out to Chaz. We were chatting about Mad Cave and about how much I like their publisher, and he comped me a copy of Nature's Labyrinth. Thank you, Chaz. Very cool. Super excited to read it. And in fact, kind of want to read it on the pod. So maybe we'll do that for one of our back issue live streams.
Maybe.
But Jay, you have also been going to conventions for a long time. Do you?
Yes.
What do you look for when you go to conventions?
When I first started going to conventions, it was a lot of like the collecting aspect of it, and like books were also just cheaper then.
Oh
yeah. Like your big books were like $500 instead of like $3,000. So it was a little bit better, in the pre-COVID days in terms of the collecting side of it. But that kind of faded anyway, just because had less expendable income as I became like a more like adult who actually had to pay for things outside of comic books. And then it was kind of a scramble to figure out what I would do at conventions. And it just really became like panels and meeting creators. And like you said, like small press is such an awesome thing. And one of the great things New York Comic Con does, and San Diego does as well, is like they just have a part of the floor that is small press. And by small press, I like Mad Cave is not considered small press. Like they're too big to be small press. Scout is too big to be small press.
Scout wasn't there this year.
Antarctic Scout actually hasn't been at conventions for like the last like 2 years or whatever. Like the last New York Comic Con they were at the one before that, I believe. But yeah, like they'll have a small press
that have like the section for.
Yeah, like the biggest thing in small press will be like Black Mask. Like that's going to be the biggest publisher in small press. And it's going to be a lot of people who have like 1-2 books. And that is such a great piece. You just walk up and down, and I'll typically like be like, okay, you're gonna buy at least one thing from a small press. The sad thing is like especially being a creator, you want to buy everything and you want to like listen to everybody's pitch, but you know that you like can't do that. But like at the small press, I've gotten some of the best comic books I've ever read, also some of the worst. But like it's such a nice little shot in the dark of like, man, you could really get anything. It's going to be something a little bit different. It's not going to be like every other comic book. So yeah, it's really, I think it's about I'm going to sound like, a like sentimental ass here, but I'll tell you, there's very few times and very few places where I will say it's all about the people, because I genuinely do not enjoy other human beings. But comic book conventions is one of those places where I'll be like, it is all about the people, because I'll be on the line for like 3. It was actually funnily enough, it was on the line for a Scout Comics thing when they were doing the book with the actor who plays Kreese in Cobra Kai, and he was doing a signing, and it was really long. And I was on that line for like 3 hours, and I was just talking to the people behind us about comic books for 3 hours, because you can just turn almost anybody at the convention and they will speak, especially if you're in the comics section and you're not going off in like the super pop culture set. Like, they will just speak the same language as you, and that is super nice for comic book fans who I don't think have that in a lot of other places.
No, and it's nice to have that even in like kind of traditional geek spaces. I feel like comics are still, especially not DC and Marvel comics, it's still so hard to find people to like really just gush about indie comics with outside of like literally your comic shop. It's really rad to be in a space that really does feel like, oh yeah, these are my people. It was super rad. There were less, I think less big name creators is incorrect for me to say. I think it's because I just haven't had a ton of interaction with Chip Zdarsky's work. Like, I know that he's huge.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would consider Chip Zdarsky a small creator.
I'm not calling him a small creator. When I do like my mental count of like how many big creators.
Indie creator Chip Zdarsky.
No. What I'm saying is that in the past, I feel like they've had like a number of really big creators. And this year,
like you said, like no McFarlane, no Kirkman, no like,
I think
Snyder.
What threw me off is that most years Chris Claremont comes, and I think he got sick this year. Yeah, so I think my perception is fully skewed because of how much like clout Chris Claremont brings.
If you don't have somebody who worked on the X-Men, pre-2000, do you even have a big name creator?
I mean, basically, right? But no, it was super rad. I feel like Marvel didn't have a ton of presence there this year, which is odd. DC really barely did.
DC, I feel like back at all conventions.
Right.
Like, that was one of the big like shifts in my con experience of like the past 2 years. Like, DC scaled back so much, and then IDW scaled up so much that it just became like conventions became all about Ninja Turtles for me, which is not a bad thing. But
no, I don't think we had a big IDW presence here. Maybe they don't have a lot of.
They at like New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con now they've started just like sponsoring Artist Alley, so they have a huge booth like in the front of Artist Alley. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, IDW, come to C2E2. I'm trying to enter the Shellhead era. But no, conventions are just such a good time, and there's so many reasons that they're such a good time. And I mean, like you said, it really is about.
Do you have more questions, or can I pose you a question here?
Oh gosh, pose away.
I want your best convention like experience, like that moment that you think of when you think of comic book conventions.
All right, can I give you my worst instead?
Are you gonna give me the one where you like wouldn't go up to?
No, that was I have scourged that from my brain. Annie Wu is the artist behind the New 52 Black Canary book. That the art of it, I will fight people on. She also did work inside of Archie, and she has some cool independent comics as well. I think she's like the coolest person in the world. And I passed by her booth like 7 times, and every time I'm like, no, I can't. Like, just crippled by anxiety. But no, the very first anime convention that I went to, people were, handing stuff out at various places. Like, oh, here's a sticker, here's a this, here's a that. Someone taps me on the shoulder. I, little, 14-year-old Katie Markham, turn, and someone is proffering something to me, which I promptly take. Turns out it was their leash. It was a fairy who just handed me their leash, and I fully panicked. It took like a full 3 seconds for it to process, and then went, handed it to their friend, and turned and just sped walk away.
Oh no! Why? Can you balance that out by giving us your?
Oh man,
your best.
I'll go with something that because I think one of my best might be chatting with Chaz from Mag Cave here, just because when you talk with bigger creators, there's kind of a sense of kind of a sense of distance of like, yeah, you've talked to, 500 people today, and it doesn't feel like, you're really getting like a super personal connection. But it was just really nice for him to be talking and him to be like, oh, have you read, this title? Let me tell you about it. I'm like, oh, I have actually. I talked to David Andrew about that book and just connected with him. And it was really nice awesome to feel like a part of the indie comics community, which is my oh my god, that is my kryptonite, is like feeling connected to the people who are making the work. It's just like, oh my gosh, stop it, get out of here, we're a community. And it just ends me. One of my other favorites though was when Scott Snyder was doing a panel on like the future of Gotham, and his children came in because they were at the convention as well with his wife. And they walk in, and Scott just leans into the mic and goes like, oh no, because his sons are there dressed as Spider-Man and Thor.
Oh my god.
And he's just like, and you came to the Gotham panel. I did my best, and it was very cute, very wholesome.
That's fantastic.
Outside of Phil Lamar, do you have a favorite memory?
I do. Well, I guess it's been across the few, but like anytime I talk with Tom Waltz at a convention is like a highlight. But that first time I talked with Tom Waltz was really an awesome experience. It came from, but if I say if you're unaware, I say that because like I feel like I'm talking to Katie, and then it's like, and Katie knows this, but it's like no, people who are actually listening to this don't know this. But I tend to go to conventions with my father. So I've been going to conventions with my father since I was much younger. So we were at a Ninja Turtles panel. At an Ninja Turtles panel, and I want to say it was they had like just announced Lost Years, which is the prequel, and they announced Lost Day special at this convention. Yeah, and I think they were announcing Armageddon Game too. So very Tom Waltz heavy panel because like his books that he was writing were being announced at this panel. So he was talking a lot, and he got into just like getting started in comics, and then like just a blanket like encouraging statement to creators, which is a very nice thing to hear at a panel that isn't about making comics or whatever. And my father very strangely after the panel like points at him, because my father also knows that Tom Waltz is my favorite comic book writer, because I talk about Tom Waltz's writing a lot. So my father just like points at him. He's like, that's Tom Waltz, right? Like, and I was like, yeah, that's Tom Waltz. And like I turned to leave, and I look behind me, and my father is not gone. We were in the front row, so he just went up to the table to start talking with Tom Waltz, and I'm like mortified. But I go up, and my father's like, thank you for saying that. That was awesome. My son's a comic book writer. He loves your work, whatever. So I end up getting a chance to talk with Tom Waltz for a little while there, where he just, this was at a point. Janitor Hero had fairly recently been canceled. Hadn't had a new book in a while. It was a very rough state in the career of one Joseph Jasenowski. So I got some much, much needed encouragement that then went into, there was a signing the next day where I got to talk to Tom Waltz again because he remembered me and we had a great conversation. He gave me a lot of great advice. And the connection of meeting Tom Waltz and getting to get to know him a little bit is just the absolute highlight of comic book conventions for me, and just what I needed at a given time. So
yeah, that's incredibly rad and sweet. Oh my goodness. I think that is the perfect note to end our creator corner on. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. A wonderful episode. It feels weird to be back to just me and Jay, but it also feels very nice. Believe it or not, I like chatting with you, Jay Bird.
Yeah, we might have a guest soon. We got a few people who are hopefully coming on the podcast soon. But yeah, next week's episode will most likely be just us again. But I think after that, you'll probably start seeing some guests pop up. So
yes. Oh man, I'll have to think of a creator corner topic for next week. Haven't had to do that in months.
That's right. That's right.
But we will, of course, have our regular show on Wednesday, again, without the back issue review, because next week is going to be when we try doing our live stream format for that back issue review.
That's right.
But next week, we've got a lot on our pull list because we're including books from Free Comic Book Day. So that means
That
we
we
will
are.
be pulling Zorro, Man of the Dead, number 4, Lester of the Lesser Gods, number 1, and then all from Free Comic Book Day, DC Absolute Power, number 0, the Free Comic Book Day Energon Universe Special, Flash Gordon, number 0, Gotcha Man, number 0, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, number 1, which is the start of the Watcher storyline.
Night Watcher. Yes, the Night Watcher
yes.
book. Yeah, very, very excited for that.
Yes, and then also the Ultimate Universe / Ultimate Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day book. Pending availability, I guess. We might change up what we do from Free Comic Book
Yeah,
Day.
yeah.
We'll see.
I think I should not have a problem getting it. My store is fantastic with the free comic. Like, they get so many of all of them.
Yeah, that's
Phenomenal.
what you were saying before. I just...
Yeah.
We'll see if I brave the wave of children.
Like the difference
I'm
of
scared of
my
them.
pre-college experience with Free Comic Day, my college store is just for does such a good Free Comic Book Day that it has changed my perception of the event so categorically, where I'm like, this is the best day of the year.
No, I love that for you. I love that for you for sure.
But as always, we'll see you next week, Comic Geeks. Like, this is just a real shit blurb. I'm
the
sorry.
Spider-Man blurbs have been bad.